Hello, Laziali all over the world. Welcome to another episode of Lazio Lounge. We are here to review Lazio Parma. Lazio yesterday had a huge opportunity because with Atalanta dropping points, with Bologna dropping points, winning yesterday would have definitely changed the season for Lazio, would have put Lazio in a much better position. Instead, a draw, nearly last minute draw against Parma. Plenty of things to talk about. And yes, unfortunately, he's back. Holiday man, Alasdair McKenzie.
Yeah, back just in time to discuss a season-crushing wasted opportunity.
Yeah.
So I bet you missed me. You missed this kind of impact. Well, Vittorio, I have to say, now that I've had a couple of weeks off, the run of home games, one win in 10 home games, and who's been there for every home game? It's not Mr. McKenzie, it's Mr. Campanile. So I think we need to start talking about your campaign, your anti-Alasdair campaign. I think it needs a bit of tweaking here, Vittorio. There's a problem.
Yeah,
What
now
are you
it's my
doing up
fault,
there?
right? Well, we won against Monza and I was there. So I think that proved everybody's wrong. So, but yeah, last win at home is 9th of February. Lazio Monza 5-1. It's
And
true
that
that
doesn't
we
really
didn't
count because that's Monza.
it's true that we didn't lose at home after that game, but my God, I mean, uh, we didn't beat Victoria Pilsen. We didn't beat a lot of weak teams. We didn't beat Parma, who, yes, you were away, and probably you're not aware, have beaten Juventus on Wednesday, but still at home, you were expecting much more. And as the Lazio conceded 21 goals in the first 15 minutes of each half. This is far too much, right? It's 47% of the goal conceded from Lazio. There's something wrong, right? Can we blame Baroni for that? Not preparing the team?
I think you can blame pretty much everyone. I don't
Except
understand.
me.
Well, yeah, but you were the first person I blamed, but now I was watching the game. You know, the first half when they conceded after what 3 minutes? I can't remember exactly.
2 minutes, I think. 2 minutes
Two
and a
minutes.
half.
And I was just thinking, and then you're watching the way they're playing, and the first 15 minutes of that game was like basketball. It was just chaos. It was so open. I don't really mind that because I think this Lazio team almost needs an open game to stand a chance. But they could have gone 3-4 nil down at times in this match. And I was just thinking, how are they still capable of this level of complacency? Because that's what it looked like to me. I don't know if you've got a different view on it, but it somehow looked like this team had come into this game underrating, undervaluing this Parma team. And okay, look at the table, Parma down at the bottom end. But if you look at Parma are a team like a giant killer. You know, they are a team who cause big problems to big teams all season long. And a team that is almost like tailor-made to cause problems for Lazio because of the directness, the speed that they attack with, because of the fact that they've got Pellegrino and Boni guys who can really cause trouble in the box if you get good deliveries in. And I just couldn't believe that the approach and the attitude seemed to be sort of kind of like, I don't know if arrogance is a bit too strong, but it was almost like the team expected to have an easier start or expected to have an easier ride. They're at home against a team at the bottom of the table, even though all season long we're seeing like, how much evidence do you need that this isn't going to be easy? Like, we are not winning games at home. We are not beating teams lower down the table with the ease that we used to. So there is absolutely no reason you can possibly expect this to be a simple match. And it seemed like they started this game thinking it was.
Or probably thinking it wasn't, they weren't ready. They weren't prepared. Like, oh, the game is on. Sorry, I forgot.
Or even
That's
just feeling like Parma would, the game would have a slower start. Like a lot of games do in Serie A. Teams
yes.
like to ease their way into matches, but you got to be ready for that not to happen.
Yeah, and the most concerning thing, Alistair, is that we only had just one shot on target in the first half, and it was Tati Castellanos from home, and it was an easy shot for Suzuki to save, and that was pretty much it. The first half was dreadful. We didn't create anything. Um, Zaccagni, Isaacson, pretty much invisible yesterday, and I don't know if I'm more surprised from Dia performance because in the last two games, Dia played well. He scored, he created chances. Yesterday, he was embarrassing. I thought Baroni took way too much time before taking him off. I thought he should have been subbed at the end of the first half, to be honest.
Yeah, the weird thing with Dia is when he's bad, he's so bad. I mean, we've seen this quite a lot recently, but
Unfortunately, yes.
like you say, there were some signs, promising signs that perhaps his dip was over and he was starting to, like maybe Tati coming back, just their connection was able to reignite something there. But he's just kind of invisible, you know. It's not even that he's making terrible mistakes, that he's missing huge chances or anything like that. It's just that he wasn't making any sort of impact on the game whatsoever. But I don't know. I was going to say I don't know where you want to start. I guess we have started, but the defense is a problem. I mean, I was just briefly we were catching up just before starting on the games I've missed, including the Rome derby, and I was saying how Roma are such an antithesis to Lazio in the way that they play, but they are showing that people can complain about their play style as much as they want, but they're showing the value in being able to defend. They're showing the value in being structured and organized. Because the thing that annoyed me after this game was I saw a comment of Baroni saying something like, "Oh, the last 15 minutes was the real Lazio." Bollocks. The rest of the game was as much the real Lazio. How can you still believe that that's the Lazio and this isn't? Conceding early goals, being carved open, offering opportunities to the opposition, that is absolutely the real Lazio, because they've been doing that all season long. And the first goal is like, again, get down the wing, cross it in to the edge, just inside the box, and you score against Lazio. I'm sorry, I'm a broken record because I've been away for 2 weeks and I'm coming back saying exactly the same thing. But how can you be oblivious to that?
Yeah, we didn't miss you, to be honest with you. So. But I want to go back to Dia moment because I was thinking this morning, or he scores, or otherwise he's pretty much invisible. He's useless. This is the problem with Dia. He's playing in the trequartista position where he should be creating spaces, creating chances, and maybe finishing opportunities. Instead, Dia is only finishing. And when he's not, it's like playing 10 men against 11. So this is a huge problem. And the most concerning part is that we are end of April and Baroni had a month to solve this issue, and he didn't. Lazio has the same issue, the same things working that was going on since Lazio-Milan, because that was the first game where Dia and Castellanos played together. And in 6 months' time, he wasn't able to fix a single thing. You were talking about the defense. We are conceding the same goal, making the same mistakes of starting of the season. If you go and check, pretty much all the other teams try to fix the issue they had. We didn't. And my impression is that we don't even try to do it. It's just, okay, we're going to concede 2 goals, so we need to score 4. That's not solving the problem, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not going to do this, and you're not going to do this, but if there's any budding video editors out there, please put together a compilation of goals that have come from cutbacks to the penalty spot or low crosses to the penalty spot this season, because I have no idea how many there are, but there must be an incredible amount, let alone the old cross to the back post job. I mean, that's why it frustrates me, Vittorio, because it is the same thing happening over and over again. And I don't think this idea of playing helter-skelter roller coaster football is going to work. a long-term sustainable model over the course of a 60-game season. I think Lazio are now up to 50 matches, approaching 50 matches for the season. We've seen what's happened to Inter recently when they've just hit 50 games. Bologna was Inter's 50th game of the season, and they have just completely physically and mentally collapsed over the last week. And that's Inter. And okay, they complain about their squad depth, but their squad depth is, light years ahead of Lazio's. So you can't just expect what was working at the start of the season to continue working. I think that's the main accusation you can level at Baroni. I'm not one of these people who's wanting him sacked or wanting him gone at the end of the season, but I would like to see some sort of recognition of the fact that it's not working, trying to do everything the same way. And yeah, I don't know if you can't really point necessarily at different selection things this time. I don't think. Maybe you disagree, but
for example,
you say that about Dia, but you would have started Dia before this game after the Genoa match, wouldn't you? So it's easy to look at Pedro's impact and say, why isn't Pedro starting? But the whole narrative this week has been, oh, Dia and Tati together they're back. Look at them go. They complete each other. All of this stuff. So I think it would be harsh to criticize him for starting Dia.
Yes, but you talked about Inter Roma. Ranieri, who's not a genius, changed a lot the team on Sunday, and Inter was quite surprised. I think we can already say the starting 11 that will play Sunday against Empoli, right? We know already who's going to play for Lazio. And I know it, you know it, Empoli's manager know it. Yesterday, Kivu, Parma manager knew it. We are not a surprise. Everybody knows how we're playing because we don't change a single thing. And coming to April, everybody know how to play Lazio, right? So we are struggling because everybody's prepared and we're not doing anything different, anything. So I blame the manager for this because we are playing the same type of football. We don't tweak nothing at all. Try at least something different, right? We have the left back and right back that push straight ahead. We have the wingers that move centrally. It's everything the same thing of November. Inter have changed, Roma have changed, Juventus, everybody have changed except Lazio. I think that's a huge mistake. In football, if you stay still, you're going down, you're not improving, right?
Do you think this is an example of Baroni's inexperience of managing a top club? I mean, he did so well in the early stages. We were also impressed with the way that he was managing different competitions, that he did so well in Europe, his first ever European campaign as a coach and all this. But I think maybe it's this tail end of the season, the way you have to manage a squad that's played so many games and the way you have to, like you say, adapt as you go along. Perhaps, do you think that's his lack of experience at this level is showing a little bit?
I think so. It's even true that Lazio is not moving the ball as fast as we did at the beginning of the season. I think this team lacks of quality. And so to have an advantage, you have to move the ball much quicker than we're doing. And this helps definitely the other team. So you know that physically we are not like in November, December. We have to find alternatives, right? I don't know. Put Dele Bashir and play more physical football. Do whatever you want, but try something different. I mean, it's not working. It's clear. So let's try something different. I don't know if it's an experience or lack of. I mean, a lot of our fans blame Sarri for not having a plan B. Baroni doesn't have a plan B, right?
And Inzaghi.
Inzaghi have been changing a little bit. Yeah, it's always 3-5-2, but we saw different things, right? Central defender pushing forward, sometimes playing with, different solution, etc. We are always playing the same type of football without changing nothing.
Well, he does change from 4-2-3-1 to 4-3-3 occasionally. I mean, that's the one change you might get with Baroni is whether he plays with two strikers or whether he plays with a third midfielder.
When was the last time we played with the 4-3-3? I thought it was November.
But yeah, but I mean, in game as well, he can make that change quite often. But yeah, like you say, it's not even then. That's not necessarily an unpredictable change, and it's not going to completely alter the way that the team plays. So yeah, but it's the one positive, I suppose, from this game was that it's been a while since we've seen the bench make the kind of impact that the bench made in this game, and Baroni deserves some level of credit for that. The changes that he made did make a big difference, and
The
ultimately
change,
taking a point from this game from where we were, you would have absolutely taken that as an option when it was when we were about an hour into this match. So Pedro and Vecino coming on, it changed the game, and then even beyond that, Chauna, who has just been so disappointing this season, actually seemed to be, offering something in this game and helped create the goal to get us back into it. So I think if we're looking for positives, then the bench impact has to be the biggest one, doesn't it?
yes, I'm not sure the full bench helped rather than Pedro helped, but yeah, definitely something. They had an impact. It's true to be said that Isaacson, Dia, and Zaccagni played so badly that probably even if you came in, you would have an impact. Because don't know what's going on with Zaccagni, but the last month he's been terrible. So we played so badly that I was expecting those subs to come in much earlier than they did. And yes, Chauna played probably the best game of the season. And I'm not saying he played well, he played decent. And this tells you a lot about Chauna's season so far. But again, the game changer was Pedro. And you could see it. I don't know if you saw it on TV. He was talking with everybody, telling where to go, what to do. He looked like the manager on the pitch. And I mean, end of April, players should know what to do, right?
Has he has he got some personal vendetta against Parma or something? Does he hate Parmesan cheese or something? I mean, he looked so fired up for the. I don't know what was wrong with him. He looked so kind of angry and full of
Well,
motivation coming, probably because of the state of the game that he was being asked to come onto. But he looked unbelievably motivated from the moment
well,
he came on.
he said that after the game, right? He said this was a huge opportunity and we miss it. Winning yesterday, guys, would have put Lazio in fourth position, which at the beginning of the season was unbelievable. So
With
we had,
a Juve game still to come as well.
yeah, but if you go and see not only our fixture, but Atalanta, Roma, etc., and Bologna, they have much worse fixture than ours. So, we have a huge opportunity. If we won yesterday and we beat Empoli, we would have been already in the Champions League probably. So this is a huge opportunity. And I don't know, Pedro is such an experienced, such a talented player. He came in like this was a Champions League final, and I don't think he was happy to see all the other players playing like this was a friendly match.
He looked furious in his post-match interview as well.
Yeah.
I felt a bit sorry for the woman doing the interview, as him and Romagnoli, and just neither of them wanted to talk. They looked so upset, and you can see. I think that's where we talked about this a few times with Pedro, but that kind of experience and that winning mentality that you get from having been at the top level for so long and in environments and changing rooms where those expectations are set so high and the base level of what's acceptable and what isn't is way higher than what they used to. And I think you see that in moments like this where Pedro is just thinking, I'm a Champions League winner. This is not good enough. I know what good is. I know what a good approach to a match is. I know what players giving everything they've got is, and this isn't it. and he's kind of come on and decided to show them what that looks like. And he's 37 years old, and he managed to score with a header despite being about 1 meter tall. And he's just he's having this unbelievable season. But I think on top of what he's contributing with his goals, his game-changing interventions, all this is that example, like to show the likes of Chauna, Noslin, these guys who are failing to make an impact, or even the guys who are starting, and to show them what it looks like to offer your maximum. And I don't think anyone can accuse Pedro of not offering his maximum this season.
No.
Where would we be without him? I mean, we wouldn't still be in this race. We probably wouldn't have got as far as we did in Europe. And yeah, it's we just have to be thankful at least we got him.
Yeah, again, you missed the last game, and I was saying, Tati Castellano scores only unbelievable goals, but the top scorers are the one that scores easy goals and score often. He doesn't. Yesterday, he was invisible, to be honest with you. And it's not the first game. I mean, even against Bodo, yes, he scored the first goal, but in the second half, he missed a huge opportunity. And that opportunity is one of the reasons why Lazio didn't go through. Pedro there would have scored for sure, If you go and see, Pedro scores only decisive goals. Ajax, Celtic, yesterday night. I mean, he hardly scores the fifth goal in a 6-0 victory. He's always scoring decisive goals. And this is the difference from a champion and a good player. Yeah, Tadi's goal will be remembered because it was unbelievable. But Retegui, Ken, and so on, they are more consistent than Tati. And this is what is missing. Even because Zaccagni this season has been great. Isaacsen is not having the impact I was hoping after December. Noslin yesterday had that opportunity. I don't know. Did he miss the ball? He sent it the other way around. So
good clearance.
Yeah, I mean, that's terrible.
Well, I mean, Vecino did absolutely blast the ball at him. So it's one of those that looks worse in slow motion than in real life, I think. But yeah, no, it's a good point. And I think, we've suffered from that all season. But because ultimately, I think we've known for quite a long time, we don't have like an ultimate level of high quality in attack. But what we do have is quite a few good players rather than one great player, which is how our attack used to work with Ciro. But it is kind of mad that this is both a good thing and a criticism. We've got 4 players in this team who've got double figures this season in all competitions between Pedro, Zaccagni, Dia, and Castellanos. They've all got double figures of goals. That should be enough. If you've got 4 players in your team who are hitting double figures, that should be enough for you to be having a good season. But it's not enough if you can't defend, and it's not enough, like you say, if you're not kind of taking the easy wins. We're not scoring easy goals.
Not only Alasdair, we have to be honest. Yesterday, Mandas made again 2 great saves.
Yeah.
Like otherwise, we are talking about a 4-0 defeat because we were 2-0 down, and Mandas made 2 great saves.
That guy really came out of his shell as soon as I left the country. He was like, right, now's my moment.
And, when you were saying, Baroni said, the last 15 minutes, that was Lazio. Hey, in the last 15 minutes, Man was all alone in front of Mandas. So that's not a good sign, right? And he missed it that time, luckily. We are conceding far too many opportunities to the other teams. I don't see Inter, Juventus, but the same Roma conceding this opportunity to the other opponents. Every team against us know that they will have 1, maybe 2 huge opportunity. If you take those opportunity, you can win, right? And Yesterday we were great to recover from 2-0 down, but this is not something that's going to happen very often. And I know Serie A football can be boring, but in Serie A, usually the best defend wins the title. And this tells you something, right? If you don't concede, worst thing you can get is a draw, right? You're not going to lose. If you score 2 goals, you can lose the game because maybe you concede 4 goals. So we have to be much careful. And I don't like this idea of Baroni. Yeah, we're going to attack. We don't care. We're going to score more goals. Because A, we don't have Ciro Immobile or Luis Alberto or Felipe Anderson, talented player that can decide the game with one touch or one quality play. And B, this is not Eredivisie. This is Serie A. Teams are prepared. Team defense much better here than everybody everywhere else. So you're not going to score every single game 3 goals. So if you concede 2, there's a big chance you're going to lose a lot of games. And this is what happened to Lazio.
Yeah, I think that's an important point. You know, Serie A is famously tactics heavy. You know, any player more or less who moves to this league from an outside league is always generally impressed or surprised by how much attention is always put into the tactical side. And if you have a big weakness that's there to be exploited, the opponent coach will know about it. You know, there is so much space to attack against Lazio. There are so many areas that you can pinpoint, regardless of where you are in the table, what your team looks like. There is a way to get at this Lazio team. You'll always get a chance against them. And that is a problem. I think we could do with Guendouzi and Ravella have been great this season. They've been doing a hell of a lot of the work themselves this season, but they're not players who particularly play a killer pass or score a screamer from range. They're not offering much as a final third threat. And if that's the case, should they not be slightly more conservative with their positioning while we are attacking? Ravella's desperate to score a goal. He keeps having a pop from 30 meters, but he's not. He's not a goal scorer. Guendouzi's not a goal scorer, but both of them keep finding themselves attacking in the box, and both of them keep finding big spaces in behind them. Ravella's generally very good at, better than Guendouzi at reading those counterattacks and intercepting balls and so on, even if, in my opinion, he really wasn't good at that in the first goal yesterday. But there's just too much space everywhere. And I don't know, it's difficult to see how that changes now. The all-out attack approach, I think this team is too stretched, too tired, doesn't have the momentum or the form enough for that to get the results they need now. And there's only 4 games left, but I don't know. It's what a huge wasted opportunity, because it's almost mad considering everything we've discussed today that Lazio are still in this conversation. But this is one of these seasons. It's such a huge opportunity for a team like Lazio, because you do actually need like a lot of these big teams to fall off a cliff. We can't rely on Milan having the season they've had very often. We can't rely on Roma being just not showing up for half of the year very often. So it's an opportunity.
Yeah, and we have to say something, because at the moment, Lazio is out of everything. Because with Milan playing the Coppa Italia, if they win, the 6th place will be Conference League. So the 7th will be out of Europe next year. So this is a very important thing to point out. Yes, we are 2 points from the Champions League, from the 4th spot. And Bologna has a tough fixture, because next weekend there is Bologna-Juventus. So one of the two will lose points, right? And then Bologna is playing, I don't remember if against Atalanta, etc. So we have opportunity, but if the season ends today, Lazio is out of everything. If Milan wins the Coppa Italia. Now, I'm not sure Milan is going to win it, but Italiano have an incredible track record of losing finals. So, this could be the fourth final that he loses, and Milan goes to the Europe League and Lazio stays out of everything. So yes, everything is still on hand, but now we have to face the threat of being out of everything next season. And so if we finish like that, it would be a disappointing season. Can we say this, Alasdair? If we finish out of every European competition.
Yeah. I think we've, as the season's gone on, we've kind of had this changing idea of what represents a good and a bad season, because our expectations were so low before it started, and then they rose quite high once we got off to that great start. I think without the European semi-final and the way that Europa League campaign ended, we do now need a decent Serie A finish, probably top 6 finish, to feel like this is a reasonable season.
6 or Conference League?
Yeah, I mean,
hoping Bologna wins the Coppa.
But I think top 6, you can say, regardless of how the European formula turns out, I think you can say top 6 for a first season, considering all the changes, is decent as a return. I think I would have taken that at the start of the year. But it's just disappointing because of the way, I guess, the way things have gone and the fact that it's fallen apart in the tail end of the year, and the issues we've not really seen addressed particularly. Because I think you want to end a season feeling like, there's hope to build on that for the next season. And at the moment, if the season finished today, it would feel a bit like, you've fizzled out rather than you've been kind of projecting a bright future.
Yes, I agree on that, because Noslin, we can say he didn't start really well, but around November, you can see him picking up, right? Saying, hey, well, yes, you can see he has talent. You can see that he's making strides. He's improving. After December, when he was decisive in the Napoli game, he pretty much disappeared. He's going downhill. So, there are a lot of questions. Should you keep Noslin? Should you keep Chauna? Should you keep Delebashiro? While in November, we were all saying, yeah, they're not there yet, but you can see they're improving. In 2025, of all these youngsters, I don't know who you're saving, right? I don't know I think, hopeful, that Fabiani is thinking, okay, shall we keep Noslin, Chauna, Delebashiro, and so on? Because they didn't convince us. While in November, I thought, yeah, they look promising. In 2 years' time, we're going to have a great team. Except Mandas, who's the only one who improved. From January onwards, I don't see a single Lazio player who have improved, who have maybe Luca Pellegrini, but all the others, nothing. Even the leaders, Zaccagni, etc., have gone downhill in the last couple of months.
Samuel Gigot, I believe you're missing from your list there.
He's not playing, pretty much. I think they all should have gone in South Korea with you.
I would have loved that.
Holiday break.
Yeah, well, that is the thing that is disappointing. You, especially with Shauna and Noslin, I think the two of them particularly, it's been hard to really find any moments. Shauna definitely, that he's shown anything really this season. That volley to create Pedro's goal last night was probably the biggest impact we've seen him have on a match. I can't really think of anything else. Noslin had that great game against Napoli in the Coppa, but beyond that, we're not really seeing anything from Noslin. And it's not like these guys haven't had game time. They have had a lot of game time. And I'm a great advocate of second seasons for new signings. And I'm not going to give up on that because of this. But usually, Isaacson, for example, had a disappointing first season, and now he's really developed. But I think we at least saw from Isaacson there were flashes. You could see the ability was there, just the confidence wasn't, the understanding wasn't. He felt like he looked like a player who needed to come out of his shell a bit. I think he still does, to be honest.
Yeah, but I mean, if you compare the first season of Isaacson to the first season of Nosley, Chana, etc., I think there's a huge, massive gap, big difference, right?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Isaacson had an impact in this first season. Nosley and Chana, even Dele Bashiru, a little bit better, but not even close to Isaacson, right? And then you talk about game time, because yesterday Baroni made 4 subs, right? 4. You have 5, and you didn't. You're losing 2-0. Arion Ibrahimovic, when in the hell is going to play? I mean, you're 2-0 down and you don't bring him in. And it's not that, hey, I don't know, Zaccagni is playing great football, Isaacson is player of the game, Castellano is scoring hat-tricks over hat-tricks. No, you couldn't decide which player to take off. You could take off everybody. And still, you didn't give an opportunity to Ibrahimovic. 90 minutes, one night, from the 19th of January to the 29th of April. He came in, Bologna-Lazio, we were already 5-0 down. So you're not bringing him to change the game, right? It's over. Just giving some playtime. 7 minutes, Coppa Italia, Inter-Lazio, we were already 2-0 down. So again, just, give the kid some minutes just to make him happy. Why did we sign Ibrahimovic?
What percentage of people who watch Serie A regularly do you think are actually aware that he plays for Lazio? Maybe
Nobody.
one.
Maybe he's wrong.
I mean, it's pretty clear Baroni didn't want him. If Baroni wanted him or requested him, or even a player of that model, that style of player, he would have used him. We've had so many moments in this run since he arrived where the squad has been stretched, where players have been out of form, where there's been injuries, suspensions, tiredness, so many opportunities to use him, and he never has. Maybe he's just got real faith in Chauna, Noslin, and the rest of them. But it's crazy, and it's such a, and that worries me a bit, because that suggests there's a real miscommunication between Fabiani and Baroni. How can this transfer happen if he doesn't want him?
Plus, we had so many trequartista. Every Lazio player can play in that position, pretty much. Even Guendouzi could play there. He played with Tudor there. So you had Chaunan, Noslin, Pedro, Dia, Dele Bashiru. You didn't need a 6th player to play there, right? So didn't make sense. Didn't make sense to sign Ibrahimovic, and he's not playing. So wasted money, waste space. And this is the result. Well, I'm not saying we're not going to the Champions League because of Ibrahimovic. Don't get me wrong. But, I mean, we could have used another player, right?
Yeah. It just feels like in a season where we've struggled with the rotations in the second half, we've struggled with the demands of playing 3 competitions. There's not really space for passengers. And he has been a passenger the second half of this season. When he did come on, he looked really keen to make an impact and really keen to, do something, but he's just not been given the opportunities. So yeah, it's not necessarily a season we'll look back on as being full of big game-changing signings in the Mercato, I don't think.
No. And my fear is not going to be even this summer, but who knows? I mean, let's keep the faith, right? Hoping something big happen. Even Toma Basic still didn't play a minute, and he's been there since January. What an incredible change we had bringing in Basic. Right? And we took off Pellegrini, who had 3 assists in the last 3 games.
Yeah, again, if you asked, I'd love to know the percentage of people who realize Basic still plays for Lazio. There's quite a few of these players.
Well, he's not playing. He's on the bench.
Well, exactly. Look, I mean, we've still got an opportunity here. I think Lazio still has a run in. Obviously, there's a lot of work to do because there's 3 teams to get ahead of. There's points to catch up on, and also we can't really afford to finish level with anybody because the head-to-head is so bad. But it is a run in that gives you an opportunity because not only are there a couple of softer games, but actually playing Juventus at home is a game you want, I would say, at this point, because there is no better opportunity to get ahead of someone in front of you, because otherwise you're relying on Juve slipping up elsewhere. I'd rather have that in my own hands. At least if you lose to Juve and you miss out on the top 4 as a result, you know that's because of your own failure rather than fortune going against you. So the problem is they can't win games at home at the moment. And obviously big games in general have been an issue this season, but Empoli as well is kind of terrifying to me because they're fighting for their lives, and it's just not what you want. But there is an opportunity in this run-in to still finish well. It's just hard to see it that way after a result that was one of the big opportunities. I guess one of the fixtures on the calendar we would have looked at and said that is, you must win that game.
And you must win the next game against Empoli and hope, obviously Juventus and Bologna, one will drop points. So this is a must-win game. So crossing fingers, we're going to be able to do it. I think we can wrap it up here. Thanks for listening to this podcast. Thanks in particular to our Patreon. Remember, you can subscribe and support us on patreon.com/Lazio Lounge. Membership starts at $2 a month. We are doing a Q&A in the coming days, right, Alasdair, for our Patreon?
We are recording that on Wednesday, if you're listening to this. So don't send us questions after Wednesday because we're not going to read them out. But if you hear this and you got something, then get it to us on Twitter, on Patreon, whatever, and we'll try and get through them all.
Thanks everybody for listening. Take care, and we're going to be back after Empoli Lazio. Take care.